eyes to see thy God. Behold, and harden thou hands. Let the faithful guide the way. Do not fear the darkened path.
Hello. Good evening, everybody. How are we all tonight? It's been a little bit. We've been a little bit busy. I'm not gonna lie. There's been some reallocation of time I've had to do lately. Because Warhammer: The Old World has come out, and I have a giant box of Tomb Kings now that have to be prepared. Uh, so it's been a bit of a thing. How are we doing tonight? How's it going, Goodman and Palm Dad? How are we? Well, so first things first. Tonight was originally intended to be the reschedule of the second episode of American political history and talking about that. Unfortunately, Hetman has a family emergency that he had to attend to today. Um, so it's actually not terribly great. He's all right, but if you are the type to keep people in your thoughts, he could probably use a little bit of help with that right about now. That has been rescheduled for tomorrow evening. However, given the circumstances, I'm not entirely certain that's going to hold. So, uh, be prepared for that to change yet again. Much more firm is this week on Wednesday. We should be having a Ukraine update with myself, Hetman, and Commander Macmillan, and an additional special guest. It's going to be a lot to talk about on that front. A whole lot's been happening that hasn't really been noticed by a lot of people. But tonight, given I have a free evening, I want to kind of talk about the thing that we are all talking about right now, really, and that's, is progressive victory funneling money into generally inappropriate spaces? A lot of us here come from President Sunday's community, where this has been covered ad nauseum over the last couple days, and I plan to add to that. So, hi, how's it going? Let's go get into some dirt. The first question, I think, for people who don't know, is what is progressive victory? And what progressive victory is a organizing group that ostensibly claims they're dedicated to helping progressive candidates win elections. They are they're not a pack in the same way that Rebellion Pack, and I'll explain how this all links together. They're not a pack in that same way. They're sort of a they're a nascent organization is the best way to describe it. The big thing to keep in mind is here, here's their website, their about section. What are the community's priorities right now? And they use this term community. And right now, our community is 100% focused on helping progressive candidates win in the U.S. 2024 election. Get registered, request your ballot, and get trained so we can get you contacting voters, fill out volunteer form, blah, 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 blah. They have a donate button, and that's probably going to become important over the course of the week as we talk about this. As anyone talks about this. What about endorsing primaries? See, here's the thing. This is really weird to me because I was looking this over. A handful of states still have primaries in August and September. Yeah, there's not a lot of Democratic primaries this year that are going to be big ticket items because the presidential primary is pretty much locked up. No, bad dog. Sorry. Those are not things to chew on. Go lay down. But there still are a lot of little primaries that have to be run, and like one of the things you'll note if you spend any time doing elections is that big ticket elections like presidents and senators funnel down into success for lower ticket items like judges, and town councils and school boards. So a robust primary is an excellent opportunity to kind of move candidates, right? So like on the one level, the DNC is not doing their down ticket items any favors over the primary season, right? But that kind of leaves a big hole. Like there's an opportunity there, right? And they don't seem to be engaging on that. They're only working with general election candidates. That seems odd to me. Particularly if, as many people's complaint is, the Democratic Party is not necessarily running the most progressive candidates ever. There's been a lot of complaints, especially in the last couple months, around Israel and Palestine, of the general commitment that's going on here. So that's what progressive victory is, and I think its biggest claim to fame is its. And this is not necessarily a great claim to fame. Its biggest claim to fame is it's connected to Brianna Wu, or at least was. The relationship in the last couple of days, I've seen some people say she's in, I've seen some people say she's out. But a couple months ago, they had this event with Congressman Ro Khanna in Washington, D.C., where they got Vosh and Destiny and Keffels and Not So Erudite, which is weird because they're Keffels and Not So Erudite are Canadians who don't live in the United States. And who else? Cherry was there, a couple other people, and they all got them. They did an event with one of the her name escapes me, with Sam Cedar's show co-host. And they did a panel, and it was a whole thing, and there were pictures, and it was like, oh yay, Vosh and Destiny are friends again, and that lasted all of 7 seconds. And that was all organized very proudly by Brianna Wu. That's really the big claim to fame, and like this is sort of the tenor of that organization, right? It kind of comes out in that, like, let's bring this. Emma Vigland, thank you.
I fucked up. I ended the stream early. I know. I'm so embarrassing.
You should talk with Nixie a little bit. It does suck doing things on phones if you're used to computers. It sucks doing things on phones if you're used to computers.
Yeah, no, we'll end it. Everyone.
I'm the representative. I was a champion selected.
Okay, all right.
Tyler's been.
I'm so.
Oh, look, it's Not So Erudite's husband, because they're totally a figure in progressive politics. That's definitely it. Like, this is just a stream of a party. Why would you post this? Why would that be a thing? Oh yes, noted progressive chud logic.
The swing state stats that came out.
What do they look like?
Trump, Biden. Like,
Okay.
most of them are leaning.
Yeah, that's a good thing to do, is to talk about. But you get my point. Like, this is not really a well polished and run organization. Like they're throwing a party. This is a social club, right? This is a social event they're having. It's a good time. No, you get to lay down now. Yeah, I know. You're a good dog. This is a social event, not really a major organization. So we're going to start with Reservoir's thing on this, because he very helpfully provides timestamps. What is the legality? That's a really interesting question, Palm Dan. What is the legality of having non-Americans in political groups like this? So here's what I know for sure, and I'd have to look into it a little bit more. for example, if someone from Canada wanted to drop money on an American election, that's very clearly illegal. Like outside the country money isn't a big thing. And like it's sort of kind of carpetbaggery, even if you're like, I have a state issue, for an organization outside the state to drop money on it too. Like that kind of thing. There was a big thing back when California was legalizing gay marriage, or voting on it rather, that the proposition was defeated largely through the intervention of the Mormon Church, which has a power base primarily in Utah. So, no, go lay down. Go lay down. So that's like money-wise, like bringing in money, and definitely illegal. Participation probably is much muddier. Do you think this was maybe an effort to show a bipartisan effort to create progressive policy? I mean, I guess, but it's not like Chud Logic is a citizen of the United Kingdom, isn't he? He doesn't really like. What bipartisan effort is Chud Logic able to bring? Are we going to have a bill done between the Tories and the Democrats? I mean, it really feels more like it was an excuse for people who like each other, or maybe pretend to like each other, to get together. And, have some beers, make some trouble.
Fucking asshole! Fucking shut the fuck up!
No, he'll just find any way he can.
This is like kind of Weasley as fuck.
Pathetic little wretched goblin.
You have a simple reason here. If you're gonna take shots,
So you want somebody to camp up?
That's disgusting.
He can't. I mean, let me respond.
You're the one saying you're having meetings once a week as a consultant, talking about how they can influence.
They have meetings on a regular basis to consult.
I mean, the scandal here is that Wick's kind of useless.
Okay, let's put it this way. If somebody donates to your stream and is supporting your general content, that is different from somebody coming to you, which happened with right-wing commentators, saying, hey, we like this, but we want you to push a particular angle, a particular story, because we want to get it out there, because that is the news and the narrative we want to spread, whether that is information or misinformation. We understand that is fundamentally different because you are being paid to portray that in a particular way. That's the difference. When someone sends in a super...
Side note, Reservoir's cat is fantastic. Like, he looks very fluffy.
Chat, they may have influence of, hey, I want to see more drama, but they're not like, hey, I want you to do more drama streams and I want you to shit on Katie. No one's ever given me money to specifically shit on Katie. And like, I think the way, okay, this right here is looks defensive because it's obviously different. Like, I just, it feels like it should be an easy thing to say, yes, I understand those two things are different, but Woo isn't giving me money, and to my knowledge, Woo isn't paying anyone to make particular content.
Not that I'm aware of, at least. Again, the times that she did, where she wanted to sponsor a stream where I talked about a certain issue, I revealed that. Again, I wasn't told to do it in any particular...
So, it's... Hey, how's it going, Clique? So here's the thing, with those 2 points, we've been over this ad nauseum as well, as Wick has these 2 streams that are sponsored by Rebellion Pack, which is the pack that is run by, at least in some capacity, alleged progressive Brianna Wu, and they're an interesting group, to be perfectly frank. You can see it in kind of how they operate, with their disclosures, is they're a very small political action committee, very small. They don't spend a lot of money. I don't think they have. They might have now with this next set of disclosures, have an open secrets $500,000 spent. Like, American elections are multi-billion-dollar affairs. Huge amounts of money is going to get spent this year, and has already been spent because the election has been going on for so long because Trump's trying to use it to get out of jail. Huge amounts of money have been spent, and this is a fairly minor player. and if you're not familiar with Brianna Wu, most of you are, but if you're not familiar with Brianna Wu, she inserted herself into Gamergate quite literally by setting up her own thread where she's talked about how awful she is on her Steam account, on her own developer Steam account, trying to get people to trash on her to get her traction to be able to talk on Gamergate, and then claimed she was just trying to get all the hate put into one thread. Also, minor update, I have been blocked by Brianna Wu on Twitter today for suggesting that Hamas is not responsible for the looming famine in Gaza, because they're not. So, very honest actor, very, she's not. I say alleged progressive because, first of all, she's a trans medicalist and lied about it until she got dramatically caught, which is when Wick came white knighting to her rescue again, right? Really badly, by the way. Like, that's, I was going to make a video about it, but it's, like, ridiculously apparent how stupid his stream on this entire thing was. He's like, yeah, this whole thing that you see people saying on these leaked DMs, they're not actually saying that. Like, you might be able to gaslight your audience, Wick, but not people who, have a brain cell between them. The other problem is kind of like she ran for Congress in 2018 in Massachusetts. Yeah, Massachusetts. She got like 23% in the primary. She got blown out. Said she didn't participate in, or said she didn't try very hard, which maybe she didn't. But to be perfectly honest, I suspect having an insufferable woman come up to you saying, hey, vote for me for Congress, is not the greatest sell ever either. She ran again in 2020. She canceled her campaign fairly early on, claiming that she was not able to conduct the campaign she wanted to due to COVID, which, I mean, a lot of people ran for office that year, successfully or otherwise, who managed to conduct a campaign and, get it together. This is incidentally when Rebellion Pack springs on the scene a couple months later. Make of that what you will. Beckett's position here, and Wick is going to argue this a little bit, unsuccessfully in my opinion, is that this is no different than a donor for a stream giving you money for something. And that's obviously how a lot of streamers do their jobs, right? They get donations. That's fine, right? However, it's very different, right? So if you give me a donation to talk about something, that's, I am on a level obligated to talk about it, because if I want you to give me more money, I have to make your return on investment appear good. The difference is that there's nothing really past that. Your donation does not guarantee you access to things such as other creators or networking opportunities. And it doesn't come with strings, like, in the same way. Like, it's always been for politics that money is used to control who says what and who has access to things. So, like, this argument that these things are the same doesn't really hold up, because there is something on the back end of being given money by a political organizing group that requires me to do things that my political organizing group wants me to do, regardless of whether I'm doing them already or I have to change to do those things, right? It's not the same kind of benign relationship as sending in a YouTube super chat.
Way.
No, but she did use that content for a narrative.
Yeah, she could do whatever she wanted with my content.
Yeah, but that's a clear difference of if I paid you to do, hey, I want you to hold 3 panels on why fucking Rezzy's fat. I want you to hold 3 panels on
I'll be on all 3 of them if you want.
Regardless of, I'm just trying to pick something neutral because there's people I want to shit on, but this is actually, like, I feel like we need to get to the core of this. There is a clear difference. And then I take those streams and I go, hey, look, everyone's talking about this. Look how many people Wick got on this panel. And I just wanted them to make the content. I wanted to see it. But these people are here talking about how fat Resi is. That's what Brianna Wu did.
Bug Squander in the chat, I think, makes a really excellent point. Is she selected the participants in those panels and debates, and she coordinates the content. Like she has, and not in, and she has, like we know, like Sunday's brought up that Wu has used these relationships that she's paying for to control who speaks. She's controlling people's speech. Like it's very difficult to make the argument that this is a benign giving of money. Like there are strings here. There are very clearly strings here, and like trying to argue otherwise is really disingenuous.
With those abortion panels, she was like, look what's happening with this panel right now. It was like because the topic was something that nobody in America was talking about, and Wu was pushing this narrative using those panels. I watched her do it on Twitter, and she framed it as, hey, the right are like having these conversations and want to have these conversations. You could barely find the fucking people to put on the panel. That's the difference. It's not organic content in the same way, and that's like it is feeding a political narrative, and that's why people have an issue with doing it. You are very upfront about being paid to create that content, but Wu is not upfront about what she is using that money and content for in the long.
And there's kind of a principle at play here. So if you're sponsored on YouTube, you have to disclose that. And like there's a little box you check in the videos, like this includes paid promotions, blah 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 blah. That's kind of vital. Like suppose I make a video talking about how all of War Thunder's developers are secretly stealing money from a leukemia foundation in order to fund their crack cocaine habit. And that video is sponsored by the World of Tanks. I have to include that paid promotion in there. Like it's a requirement. And more to the point, you can see now that the topic of the video and the sponsor are somewhat related, right? Because the sponsor is a competitor of the person who is the subject of the video that I have just, disparaged. This is very, very well ingrained into YouTube culture, right? This is how you follow the money and how you see who is involved with what. Like, and it has allowed to a certain degree of kind of like, you can push back on a creator, you can make decisions around those things. For example, I know a lot of people who stopped watching creators because they were utterly unapologetic about the Scottish Royal Titles company nonsense. Like, disclosure gives you the option to make informed decisions about your viewing and to evaluate that viewing. And like one of the things we've talked about a lot on this channel is like having media literacy. And like my objective isn't to tell you what to think, it's to give you the tools to look at how to think about things. And that's really important. Being able to follow the money is sort of vital, because the golden rule is whoever has the gold makes the rules, right? That's what the golden rule really is. And that's kind of important here. And I'm curious. I'm very curious when this arrangement for Wick started, where he came on as a consultant, and that's ridiculous on its face too. And we'll talk about that, where he comes on as a consultant, because Brianna Wu sponsors these panels, right? With Rebellion Pack, and Wick very loudly proclaims that Rebellion Pack is sponsoring the panels. There's just one problem. Is that you cannot do paid political advertising on Twitch, and Wick simulstreams to Facebook, or not Facebook, to YouTube, Twitch, and Kick, except nobody watches Kick, or at least watches him on Kick, or barely watches him on YouTube or Twitch anyway. But so you have this kind of like moment, like, and this happens not terribly long afterwards, is when Sunday decides to drop those portions of those DMs where Brianna Wu lies to her teeth about, supporting non-binary people and not being a transmedicalist. And so she goes on the Chud's Logic show, and she's like, yeah, all these things happened, and we did these things, blah, 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 blah. And Chud's Logic, in a moment of clarity, goes, wait, isn't isn't sponsoring political content against Twitch's rules. And of course, Brianna Wu, alleged progressive political operative professional is what she calls herself, doesn't know that like it's a 5-second Google search, like literally, and doesn't know that, and is caught flat-footed and tries to go, well, it's not really a sponsorship, like turning instantly into a weasel. Except it clearly was a sponsorship because it says sponsored by Rebellion Back, but here we go. So I want to know when this arrangement starts, because if this arrangement starts after that incident and after all of those things are said, then it's a little bit more suspect, right? And then you have like you can see, you saw on the thing, they have a donor page, right? You can turn around as a small donor and give them money, which they are now shoveling out to content creators. What are those content creators doing with it? And that's a valid question. Like, if I'm a donor putting money into this organization, I want transparency, right? Like, everyone remembers here in the United States when the Supreme Court rules on Citizen United in the last decade. And everyone, and a lot of progressives, to be perfectly honest, quite correctly point out that this ability to have dark money in campaigns is bad, that it doesn't allow us to understand our politics as easily, like who is paying for things, who is holding what views and advancing what views. It makes it harder to follow the money. This feels similar to that to me, like it's an established principle. And there's the thing, like, getting money out of politics would be great, but for the moment, money is in politics, right? And if the money is in politics, then we should kind of know who is paying for what, so that we can evaluate if we want to support things. If I have maybe, like, you might have $5 to donate to a political candidate or an action committee or whatever. You want to decide what that thing is. You deserve transparency, right? Like, I feel like that's a fairly easy ask at the end of the day to talk about, like, to front load this kind of information.
That is the issue.
I don't know if I am struggling to see the substantive difference, right? Between, let's use I don't know about Mama Max and what he did, but let's use the subject, right? You are financially incentivized to cover that. Your viewers want to watch that. Your viewers pay you money in order to watch that, right? And this, again, people go and take that content, take the clips of what you do, and they use it for however they want, right? Do they not?
Yes, but viewers aren't paying. No, but viewers aren't going, hey, I need you to cover this in a particular way so I can use that post-creation to frame my argument. No one is paying anybody with the Mama Max stuff. No one's going to Chud and being like, hey, I need clips from your stream of going over it so I can use it in my video as ammunition. That happens organically because it's Chud's opinions. And in the same way, like, people are making organic videos in defense of Mama Max, you know, the fucking crazy people. But that is...
Leaving aside the Mama Max thing, because I just don't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole. Here's the thing. I don't think Beckett's wrong. Like, Beckett is talking about the difference. Beckett is keying into a very key thing about this space, about streamers, about YouTube in general. Lindsay Ellis did a great video before she decided that she wanted to not be on YouTube anymore about the nature of YouTube, and it was called Manufacturing Authenticity for Fun and Profit. And she brings up a point, like, this is a different format that we talk about. Like, you watch a TV show and you might get invested in a character, but in most cases, unless you're unfortunately disposed, you don't think that character's real. The difference is, the reason people watch streamers and the people watch YouTubers, and as someone who has been using YouTube because I'm a dinosaur, as everyone likes to remind me, since it existed, and have seen the changes over time, right? And the production quality, like YouTube, there's a connection. There is an undeniable connection between us as YouTubers and streamers, and you, the audience, that does not necessarily exist in traditional media forms. You don't think you know Harry Potter, for example, but you have a different outlook. Like you're a little bit more connected to our lives and invested in our lives in a particular way, and it's kind of what you're coming for. You're coming for you're coming for someone like you talking about a thing that you care about. That is still too big. I'm going to make myself kind of tinier. There's Wick. That is really tiny, but there's no good place to put me today. Those are the things, and like there's an expectation of authenticity, of truth. Not necessarily truth, that's a bad word for it. There's an expectation of realness to your interactions with the YouTube content that isn't present otherwise. So obviously, from a certain standpoint, Beckett is keying in on a very important thing here, that this expectation exists. This is especially pertinent, I think, when you're talking about Wick, right? Because Wick starts off every stream going, I am hosting a cross-denominational or cross-political space where people blah, blah, talk, blah, 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 blah. The expectation is that the moderator is not invested in one side or the other of this space, or at least publicly so. Obviously, Wick is a crap moderator because he can neither maintain control of panels, and then he likes to jump in on them anytime he wants. So, like the reality of Wick's show is it's none of those things. It's really just a way for him to debate people without having to take the burden of debating them by himself. And I get that. I like panels on that level because I have plenty of time to sit around and wait for things to get direct thrown to me, as opposed to regular debates where I have to do all the work. So, one-on-one debates where I have to do all the work. So I get that. But like there's the point there, and we're kind of dancing around it a little.
Different from being paid to make content. It's in the same way. Like, okay, let's draw it away from streaming.
I think you're trying to make it's a distinction without a difference. There is a distinction there, but it ends up in the same place.
Not really, results. Though. No, not really, because again, my ability to get some so if a political group is sponsoring me to make particular content to present things in a particular way, I am beholden to that group to present myself in that way. It's a big deal, right? Like there's no getting around that relationship. There are strings attached. So again, there are expectations that are created. Trying to call it a distinction without a difference is really, really, really just wrong.
Okay. Let me put it this way. If you put a panel together on, I don't know, fucking the sugar industry.
Sure.
And you said that the panel's topic was actually, we can use a real world example. Companies pay for research groups to do research. The milk industry did this. They were like, we want a research study showing how healthy milk is so we can use it in our advertising. So they paid for that research to exist so they could quote it. Lots of companies have awards that come from a very particular awards company, which only gives it to that fucking company. Like, we understand that is different from being given an award based on merit. Now, you might say that these look very similar, but their function is fucking different. And it's like significantly different.
I understand what you're saying, and it would be correct if I was told, oh, you need to make this kind of content in this particular way. What I was told.
No, that's not the same thing, right? That's not the same thing. And I don't want to get the things out of turn, but if I take a group of people and I say, I'm going to give you money to go in and we're going to talk about these things in a meeting, blah, 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 blah. And here's the best practices. Corporations call it best practices. Here are what we think the best practices are. There is an expectation, I think, like there should be an expectation that this is a return on investment, right? If I'm doing this, I want to do a thing. I want this particular thing, and I want like you to talk about it in this particular way. And like if you're having all these people putting this together, even if you're not outright saying it, there is an implication that in order to continue to be considered part of this group, you need to do this in this particular way. It might be a democratic mafia, but it's a mafia.
Right? And I can't speak for anyone else, right? I can't speak for, maybe she's having conversations with other people that I'm not aware of. That's fair. I don't know. But with me, all it was is here's this much money. I want you to put a panel together to talk about this topic. And these, in one case, she wanted Vosh to be on one. And that was all. That's all I was given.
Sure.
Well, that's obviously not true. Like, we know Sunday's brought up the point that he's been kept off a panel before by Wu. So that's obviously not true.
That's a fundamentally different thing and a fundamentally different accusation to saying that she's trying to direct. I need you to portray this in this particular way so I can get clips out of it to make dunks. Now, she was banking on the fact that the people who were on one side of the issue would.
Yeah, okay, that's the same thing though, right? That's not like, even if you don't say it, if you expect it to be there, that's like, you've done the thing. Like, that's, no one buys that. Everyone, like, trying to pretend that this is like a huge difference, and like, he's a little weaselly shit. Like, to be perfectly honest, there's no huge difference between being explicitly told to provide a particular outcome and being expected to provide an outcome if given a certain set of opportunities. Like, put it another way. The Houthis, let's go back to the Houthis. The Houthis are in Yemen firing off missiles at ships carrying certain flags and not others, while saying they're trying to blockade Israel. We all know that the Houthis are doing this at the behest of the Iranians. No one in Iran got up and said, we have ordered the Houthis to engage these ships on these grounds. But we know it's being done. It's not a distinction without a difference to say that the Iranian Republican Guard is behind the Houthi missile strikes on ships moving through the Gulf of Eden and the Red Sea. That's what's happening here. It's like, Brianna Wu is the Iranian Republican Guard. Actually, she might be the Iranian Republic. No, she's not. That's clearly wrong. But you get my point.
Play into certain tropes and things like that, and that's fine. But it's fundamentally not the same as a milk company making saying to the things, we want you to find the benefits of milk.
Wait, no. So Vosh is like a part of, I hate to say it, the Wu experiment, right? And so, like, no, she is making the content. If she's putting the content, like, Vosh is bigger than anybody else that was on that panel, right? Like, by a lot. So, like, this was like, you know, knowing you, like, she had Vosh on there so you could find anti-Voshites to argue with him, which allows for the pet project to go further, right? Like, I think that's what Beckett's trying to say. So, like, she is, if they're making stipulations like that, then yeah, I think it continues, right?
Yeah, I think it's because she wants that content to exist. If you hadn't made that, if you hadn't been paid to make that content, if a chatter had chatted you and said...
Also, why is Wick involved in this at all? That's another, like... You have that debate between Vosh and the person. Like, Vosh has people on to debate him all the time without the intercession of a moderator. You don't need Wick. Like, he is superfluous. He doesn't bring anything. Like everyone who who watches Wick knows about Vosh. If they wanted to watch that content, they would. Like, how is that stream in the first place not a jobs handout for Wick?
Hey, I want to, like, actually, even if it's not Woo, but if a chatter donated to you and said, hey, I want you to make a panel on this thing, you might do it. But at the same time, if it was a topic like this where there's no real
I can get Vosh on you if you cover this topic. I can get Vosh on your show if you cover this topic. Almost certainly I'm going to cover this topic.
But yeah, but you want to do that without the paying, but you still got paid for it, which is
Sure, and I disclose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that because there's an attention behind it, and in the same way that, what's the way to put it? Like, let's put it this way: if
this goes on like this for some time, to be perfectly frank, let's skip ahead to where Kuhlman comes in, because I think that is quite the thing. Let's.
Would you mind if I know you don't like Queenman?
Okay.
You want to bring? Okay, then I'll bring Queenman on. All right, sounds good.
Note how this begins.
Ivan has a funny joke too. I just want to be clear, but
Is he going to cam up or is he going to do the whole thing?
Well, it's 7:30 in the morning.
Cam up, brother.
You toothless bastard.
Oh, come on. You're like,
come on, Queenman, just put a fucking shirt on. Okay,
So you would agree,
bro. I've been at this for
let's get right
10
into it.
fucking
Fuck
hours.
all this.
Okay.
Cam up, brother.
Listen, Wick.
You want to have
you'd
this
agree?
Becca, can you moderate
You
this
would
for a
agree
sec?
that it's reasonable to expect disclosure for promotions, right?
Cam up? I'll answer your questions when you cam up. How's that?
No, I'm not coming up.
Okay.
This is juvenile bullcrap. I'm not going to answer your questions if you don't get on camera. Okay, fine. You want to do this? Okay. We are going to take a short break. I am being informed that the dog wants to go potty. We'll be back in a hot minute.
dance like a monkey. Move, 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 move like a monkey. Shoot, 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 shoot like a monkey. Kill, kill, feel like a monkey. Feel like a monkey.
All right, okie dokie dokie. Apologies there. I think we need to get more music in the playlist for stream music. If anyone has recommendations for things that should be copyright free, or at the very least not copyright enforced, usually video games, let me know. Throw it in the comments or what have you. Just so we can get some variety in things, because I was only gone 5 minutes and we replayed 2 songs, it looks like. Anyway, let's continue on here.
Okay, then I'm not answering your question.
Okay. Oh, come on.
What the hell is this, Slick? If you have nothing to hide, then this should be really easy, right? Come on.
Come on.
So you're just basically running from any sort of...
I'm not running. You have the ability right now. Right now.
No, I don't.
This instant to get to me to answer any question you like. All you have to do is cam up.
Do you think this looks good?
Easy.
Or...
Easy peasy.
Chat was not impressed
do you think
by
this looks good?
Listen, I really want to get to the end of this. I will donate money.
I just want to know. I want to know how often Wick has disclosed the money that he's been receiving from these weekly meetings. That's what I want to
When
know.
you cam up, I will let you know.
Oh, right, okay. So that's not something you want to talk about then?
When you cam up, I will let you know, brother. I'll answer any question you want. You just have to cam up.
Sorry, you guys can carry on then. I mean, Becca, maybe
Okay,
you can
so
ask
you
him this question.
Don't want to.
Maybe I'll talk to you.
You're not
Becca.
actually
Maybe
a serious actor, which we all
drop
know,
the
right?
petulant. The petulant.
Yeah, cam up. That's it.
This is neither here nor there, but Wick doesn't get to not call people. Doesn't get to call people whether or not they're serious or not. Like seriously, you have panels on virtually anyone who goes on your show is someone who can stand and hold a show by themselves, right? And you basically depend on everyone else to make ridiculous content around you. Like 9 times out of 10, like your panels devolve into nonsense. This is just a child's argument, and that's all Wick's arguments have been. They've been his first argument is like an entire intellectual generation beyond. I'm not touching you. Like, and this is I'm not going to talk to you if you don't get on camera. Like that's not a requirement. Like, what does him being on camera have to do with your ability to answer questions about your honesty? It doesn't. It's utterly irrelevant. It is a power play so that you could feel good about yourself. And it's not even a good power play, man. It's incredibly sad. Like that's like, it's the thing where if you go into an office and someone demands you take a seat and you stand as you're being a petulant child. And you're just as petulant because you demanded they take a seat. Like, take a seat, sit, it doesn't matter to me. Like, I'm going to do my thing anyway. Like, it displays an utter lack of confidence or capability to command a conversation that you feel like you have to engage in little childish games, right? If he's not a serious actor, then his questions should be easy to answer. But that's not what Wick is doing. Like I'm baffled because like I said the other night, as I sort of lurked over in Wickcord to see what was going on, to see the delicious cope, and they're just all in there sitting there circle jerking, talking about how Wick looks really good. And like that's not what's happening here. Like it's not. Like I guess it was Origin's turn to have the neuron, but that they get to share between them in Wickcord.
It's an easy peasy thing.
Can we just get through these questions? Is that all right? Look, okay. It's not like Queenman's face isn't on stream constantly.
I'm just saying, if he won't cam up, he won't cam up, and that's fine.
Bro,
right?
like I didn't. Okay, but Wick, like no, guy, like none of us stop. Okay, is this like? Are you arguing, guy? Like I'm not asking anybody to cam up. I don't give a shit.
Well, I am.
Actually, let's ask a question. A very important audience question, because I'm curious what everyone else thinks. Carry on.
Yeah.
Why? Why?
Remember Small Fry here was saying that I'm not the serious one, but now it's all about camming up. Now it's about
you want to have a serious conversation about this. I am giving you one single simple condition that you would have to do for me to have a conversation.
Well, TK, the answer to that question is why I'm not on cam is because I'm an ugly, in a badly lit room, and it's much nicer to have the little graphic that I produced on Canva than it is to have me, and you still get me, you know.
Conversation about this right now. Just
all right, Small Fry. All right, Small Fry.
Okay.
I'm just gonna check
Queen,
out of curiosity.
I actually want to hear your questions and to go through things.
Yeah, my question is just I mean, go through your stuff. You do your thing.
Okay.
Spit your shit back at.
Well, okay. I mean, my main thing is like, fuck. I think aside from
not for nothing for Queenman being apparently unserious, he has 701 views on his video about this or stream about this that he did last night. He has 2,000, nearly 2,500 subs, right? Let's just take a look. Proportionally speaking, he gets 1.7k views, 1.3k views, 1.3k views, 800 views, 2.8k views, and this is all in the last 10 days. 2.5k views. He gets a ridiculous number of views compared to Wick. Like Wick gets 100, 300, 400 views. He might get 1,000 views in like a couple weeks on a panel. If he's got some bigger names, he might get those faster. Like Cumin has half the subscribers Wick does, and he's able to generate more audience engagement proportionally than Wick is. I who's the not serious one here? Like, dude's doing good compared to Wick.
Disclosure stuff. Hopefully, Queen will throw a fucking shirt on and sit in front of a camera or put himself on his phone to Destiny thing lying down in bed. I don't fucking know. It is early.
No, he's using a good microphone. You can tell.
Yeah.
I'm on my computer.
I just okay.
Stop.
Right. Do you accept that the fact that Progressive Victory is hosting meetings, streams together with people, and like getting people together to discuss?
Hell puppy in chat with the viciousness over there. No, Wick is the type of person that was overlooked by all, including bullies. Got to have character first, even one to make fun of, to be made fun of. Damn, that's vicious. Holy shit. Oh, that's vicious. Oh, call an ambulance, but not for me.
Discuss the topics of the day is probably because in the long term they're looking to influence an audience, a large audience and a diverse audience towards voting in a particular direction.
Yeah, most likely.
Okay. Do you think every streamer is honest about the fact that, because it's not just the content suddenly flips, right? It's little changes over time. That's how you move an audience. So what guarantees do you have that Progressive Victory is not going to do that? And it's interesting that Woo's left, because Woo set all this shit up.
Okay, I can't speak to why Woo left. I have no idea. It's honest.
Aren't you two really good friends? Can't you just ask? Just a thought.
Engine here. I don't know. I can speak, right? To what guarantees that I have that, I mean, they've told us that they don't want to change, like, they don't want us, they're never going to have us do something we would feel uncomfortable with. And we can decide what to cover and what not to cover, right? If we want to cover any of it, right? It's our decision, right? Yeah, so I don't know if that's a guarantee. If the terms change, and they might, then I might not want to work with them, right?
Okay, let's be perfectly honest. Again, this is that same problem with the distinction without a difference thing before. There's still an expectation that you cover these things in this way. And we haven't even really gotten into the other half of this particular point yet, which is that counterpoints Connor is involved in this. And this is even more baffling. Like, they're giving him money. Okay. To have a conservative consultant on Progressive Victory. And like, this entire conversation feels weird too, because another conversation takes place where Wick goes, yeah, I'm not paid for content, I'm paid for strategizing. Which, let's get into that, because that's ridiculous. On its whole, it's ridiculous. A couple months back, let's check. I'll open up my own thing, because I recorded this particular bit too. A couple months back, I was involved in a debate on Wick's show with Josiah and Portland is Burning against what's his face, less charismatic, playing with fire with a properly proportioned head cam, and Fairy Queen about it was basically a trial of Wick is what it ended up turning out to be. And Josiah and Portland's contention was that Wick overly focuses on irrelevance irrelevant things to criticize, instead of seats of power, right? Because it's one of those principal things that we're kind of dealing with is, where is it effective to draw attention to? Like, what is my priority to talk about? Is really where I should I should put my effort. And that's kind of like important, right? That's a fundamental bedrock of strategy, is being able to correctly identify what is important, what is vital to respond to, how to react to things, etc., etc., etc. It's very much a bedrock of strategy, and so throughout the course of this debate, and you can go back and watch it. I'll throw it in the link in a hot second. It's been a while. A fundamental course of this debate is Wick brings up this idea that he wants to target people for criticism so that they don't gain power because they're inappropriate to gain power. So what he's doing, in effect, is he is taking the same position that someone like Counterpoints might, where they signal boost an irrelevant thing. Like, here's a person who has no real ability to affect change saying something ridiculous. Did they say something ridiculous? Sure. But a random Twitter user, I end colonizing 101, who's a college student, right, is not going to be in a position to make foreign policy decisions in Israel, right? Like, they said something crappy about Israel. Yay. Who cares, right? Ultimately, it makes no little difference. Like, you are now signal boosting the exact same crap that people are using to take debates in irrelevant directions, right? To talk about, like, the wokeness of college campuses. And you're taking this and you're throwing it onto a larger movement. You're making it incredibly powerful by giving it airtime. And having people argue over it as if it's an issue of importance. And he goes off in this thing, and I've had discussions with Saya about this afterwards, and Portland to a lesser degree. How frustrating a concept it is that you have this thing where you're going, well, I want my side to be the best, so I don't want these people to ever be like, they're never going to be powerful. They're never going to be figures of substantive power. That, like, they're the kind of people who are not positioned to become figures of substantive power. They don't have diplomacy or tact or what have you. Meanwhile, Marjorie Taylor Greene is running around talking about Jewish space lasers, and is she a topic of Wick's panels? No, but he'll do a whole aria on blood libel as soon as somebody gets a fact wrong about Israeli bombing campaign. Not that there haven't been 5,000 of them. So you see the point, and this kind of gets into, like, the other person who does this is Brianna Wu a lot. And she's done it especially in the last couple months about Israel and Palestine, but she does it, I think, in a slightly smarter way, which is saying something because it's not that smart. What she does is she will refer to the nebulous they. They have said these things, X, Y, and Z. They have said Hamas is and like, have people said this? Yes, they have. But again, it's not someone in power saying it. It's not even that consequential. It's being used and weaponized as a way to distract from talking about the issues generally. Like, I can't help but notice that I've been blocked from Brianna Wu by, she's like, yeah, Hamas is refusing a ceasefire. I'm like, it doesn't matter. That's not the problem anymore. The problem is that there is a dispersed population in Gaza who are eating grass and drinking sewage and getting cholera, and there's no aid coming in. the UN organization has been defunded. They're going to run out of the ability to provide help in February. Like hundreds of thousands of people could die in Gaza because of this. Because even if you started providing aid today, there's no way to get it to people easily. You can't guarantee their security because the IDF has been largely ineffective against Hamas. So you end up with this situation where she's talking about these things, or where she's using this nebulous concept that exists but is not really being pointed out to her. Like, so you can't judge its efficacy. Like, you can't judge how important it is that we're talking about what Brianna was talking about. And it's designed to make her look good. And it's designed to delegitimize the ability of people to have other conversations, to being around other conversations. Because anyone who tries to bring these things to attention, she just blocks. So what's the point? And this is why I earlier said alleged progressive Brianna Wu, because let's be perfectly frank, she spends all day on Twitter shitting on other progressives. She's a trans med. She's an unsuccessful. She's ran unsuccessful campaigns which have drawn support from Democrats, and she's basically running a social club that makes some nominally progressive streamers look like idiots. She's doing everything the Republicans want to do. Like, what's the difference ultimately? What is the difference? And that's kind of what we're getting at here. Like, your cred is kind of not there, Wick. Neither is Brianna's.
Right, that's fair. But until they change, I can't do this thing where I mind read maybe what the future will hold. If the bridge comes, and then we'll cross it. But
within the Progressive Victory Pact, what was the general opinion on the Israel-Palestine conflict?
This is of some interest.
To be clear, I can't talk about what we talk about, right? And
no, I'm not asking you to talk about what you talk about.
I have an issue with this, right? Or at least I would if I was a donor or a volunteer. Where this supposedly secret council is landing on things is kind of important, isn't it? Right? Like, transparency. What are we doing? Who are we supporting? That sort of thing.
I'm asking you from the content creators involved in Progressive.
Trust me, I don't know if
I don't know everyone who's involved in it.
They're much more pro-Palestine than I am. At least that's the feel I get.
As this snake won't answer what I'm going to ask him, Beckett, would you mind asking why he can't talk about what's going on in these meetings?
I'm not going to.
Would you mind just asking why? Is there an NDA? Like, is there a contractual agreement here? Has he signed something?
Again, not going to answer Queeman's questions.
Well, if Beckett asks you the question, is that fine?
Yeah.
Sir Lancel, tell the Hound, tell the King that I'm busy organizing the defense of King's Landing.
Because it's
like, dude, like, I think this is abstract. Like, I'm not asking you to turn your lights on. I'm not asking people to cam up. I don't want to fucking cam up myself. I want to cam down here soon. I think it's fine. Okay? Like, if he doesn't cam up.
Fine.
No, he'll just find any way he can.
This is like kind of Weasley as fuck.
You have a simple reason. Really
nasty little. Look at you spraying all over the camera, you pathetic freak. Look at you spraying. Oh, that's disgusting.
I'm not touching you. Like, Wick, this is not a good look, brother. Not a good look. You just look like a Weasley little shit. Particularly when you've got that smirk going on behind that a gap tooth grin, and let's not get into much into that. But you're just sitting there with this little smirk on your face. It's not impressive. You're not making good points. You're not actually adequately defending your position at all.
He can't turn on his camera. I talked to him in DMs. He can't turn his fucking camera on. That's why.
Dude, that's none of your fucking business.
Yes, exactly. That's literally it. Okay.
Stop spitting
so hang on. We can't know what the almighty Progressive Victory is doing behind the scenes, but Wick is entitled to know why Kuhlman can't turn his camera on. Come on. weaselly little shit. What was the verdict on our poll? 89% said yes out of 9 votes, and 11% said no. So there's a soft soul here, or perhaps it's just a brutal soul. Perhaps Hell Puppy is just pointing out again, Wick was not worth bullying. Which, I mean, let's be fair, Hell Puppy, I decided not to bully Wick about his stupid Sunday manifesto where he made an ass of himself either. So, like, I see where you're coming from.
Like,
the cat ears the glue for the cat ears are like, it's really tight. They're stuck to his head. He can't turn around and ruin his image.
Just like turn him on, then I can't answer his questions.
Yeah, he can't.
No, Wick, it's not that you can't answer his questions. It's that you won't answer his questions. Like, don't be a little shit. Just embrace what you are if you're going to be that thing, and then don't pretend like you look at the guy dancing at the end of the prize fight, and if it's you doing it through a big black eye, you look like an idiot.
Wes,
do you want to schedule it for tomorrow?
I got Destiny No Opinion tomorrow, so I'm busy.
Okay, well, look, let's just like
another conversation Wick was required for.
Do you think that okay, now Brianna Wu's gone from Progressive Pact, has that information affected anything? Does it change anything?
It hasn't changed anything that I've noticed, but I don't know the behind the scenes stuff. I don't know, right? I can't tell you because I don't know.
Does that not seem an issue to you? Because I know, like, listen, I really don't want to paint this as nefarious because I don't think it's evil, but the fact that you are involved in something where you are giving consultation advice, where you're promoting certain things, where you have been paid in the past, but you don't know the wider picture, like, it seems odd for somebody who is admittedly quite politically engaged and like believes in things.
Yeah.
Good night, everyone. This has Hurt My Brain. Stream Daedalus. P.S. Wick at this point is Grima Wormtongue. No, Grima Wormtongue was actually effective at his job.
If you can present me evidence that they're doing some nefarious shit, present it.
But it's not about the presentation. But you should know what the goals are.
I already told you. They're trying to know, like, what do audiences like? What are people talking about? These kinds of things. How do they like to talk about?
Okay, well, here's
great. So they can reach audiences and convert them to a particular political and voting point.
Okay, I have a question.
Okay. So you are essentially feeding into the data machine that could be used in the future to manipulate people towards certain views or target people in certain ways. Yeah, but you are. This isn't a moral thing. This is just an awareness thing of what you're involved in. It's not the same as just being a streamer on your own. Like, I'm not, like, if I'm talking about something political, it is entirely like based around me. There's no analytics that anyone's looking at going, hey, how's Beckett engaging? What's working with Beckett? How can we use that? What does his audience think? Like, that's not targeted in the same way. Your audience itself and your experiences with them are feeding directly into a wider data pool that's allowing progressive victory in the long term to initiate tactics. And whether those tactics are moral, immoral, is almost fucking irrelevant. You are not an independent individual actor when you are doing that. You are part of a wider machine.
Do you think that the machine is doing something nefarious? I'll give you all of that. A political group wants to influence people politically. Okay.
I don't think it's relevant whether it's nefarious or not. I think the fact that it is happening changes what you are as a content creator.
Okay.
I think it changes what content.
Change about my content.
It's not.
Well, there's another thing I think that Beckett's kind of skipping over here, and I kind of want this point is Pondering Politics. Josiah, he's exploded in subscribers over the last year. Like, he's at 150,000 something, like, I think. I can go look. It's on my thing. He does short, informative, news-ish segments. Like, it's more of an opinion piece, but it's like directed around getting people on side with Democrats. It is highly effective. 170,000. Jesus Christ. Anyway, Josiah's kicking ass. Anyway, it's highly effective in this regard. He's growing. He's getting stupid views on his videos, right? So much to the point that he's decided to become a full-time YouTuber. 3 hours ago, puts up a video. He's got 35,000 views. He doesn't stream that often, but he wants to do it more. But even his streams are getting easily, they pick up pretty quick. So, what if, instead of having this nebulous council of streamers spitballing things at the wall, what if Progressive Victor was saying, I'm going to create this package of talking points and graphics and segment pieces that you can use, and we'll have an editor on staff that teach you how to integrate these things into a thing. So you have 10 Josiahs, like 10 people of 170,000 subscribers, reaching hundreds of thousands of people a day with a unified message. Like, what if you're paying for that instead of paying for Wick and ContraPoints to sit there and tell you whatever we don't know because we can't be told what the Almighty Council has decided? Why would we not do that instead? Because that's an efficacious use of money, right? You are giving people tools to present a unified progressive message. You can then turn around and have them focus in on candidates. You have all these things that you can direct people to do in a media network. Like let's take something like the Daily Wire. Like, the Daily Wire works very efficiently for what it is, and they have a massive budget. So you have creators like Brett Cooper, and she's actually someone I want to focus on because she does brilliant work. She's evil, don't get me wrong, but she's brilliant. Yeah, it might be a regulatory minefield. Like, you're going to have to disclose things. Exactly. Like, paid for by Progressive Victory. Like, you'd have to put yourself out there. You can't be Brianna Wu in the shadows paying her friends to be on a meeting once a week. Yeah, that's what political groups do. They create unified messages. There's a difference between sponsoring a segment, though, and providing people a set of unified tools, right? So, like, for example, like we talked about Wick's thing with Twitch, where he should have run afoul of Twitch TOS for doing those sponsored things for Rebellion Pack. That's a thing. But what if they're basically, like, providing you tools? That's not the same thing, right? That's not even remotely the same thing. You don't even have to brand it with Progressive Victory, but overtly, right? You just have to have those things. Like, talking about politics and news is allowed on Twitch.
What your content's changed is what your content is, what the background stuff of your stream is being used for.
I think this is just pro clutching, dude.
Okay, Wick, I'm going to ask you this. So there's just a few things. One, all right.
Just out of curiosity, does anybody know if Reservoir is a big Monty Python fan? Like, his VTube thing gives me that vibe.
I got sent this clip of Erudite on J-Stock. I don't know how, JSTLK, his stream.
Okay, well,
where she's referring to people employed as contracted workers. Would you consider, are you a contracted streamer by them?
I'm not sure if that's the technical term.
Okay. All right.
But maybe.
Do you have
I don't know the technical jargon here,
okay.
But maybe.
Well, do you have a contract?
That sounds definitely like something you want to be involved in, is something you don't have an absolute understanding of. Like, I decided to go work for this company, but I'm not entirely certain if I've signed away the rights to have them knock me out and steal my fucking liver.
Act with them, I suppose.
Yes.
Okay.
I signed a contract.
Okay.
Then you're a contractor. What the fuck? I don't know if the technical term is I'm a contractor, but I signed a contract. Like, dude, come on! Holy shit!
All right, and you realize that. Wait, okay, you realize that that's probably like, is this? I don't know if this is the first time a lot of people are hearing about it. As personally, I feel like I've never heard this before.
Well, you don't watch my content.
Not all this.
Nobody watches your content because it's boring. I can barely stand to be part of your content. That's why I don't volunteer for it anymore.
I know, and I usually skip to like the debates and shit.
I've said I had a sponsor. I've said I had a sponsor for months now.
Did you say it was Progressive Victory?
Yes, Progressive Victory sponsors me. This is not new.
Yes, it is. Like, okay. For example, when you did your Sunday Hit Piece Manifesto, you never mentioned that you are paid by Progressive Victory or Brianna Wu or Rebellion Pack. That would be a time to bring it up because it would let people contextualize what you're talking about as you protecting your getting that bag, right? That's a time to talk about it. It needs to be the thing. Like, what if a new conservative kid gets up and decides to become a streamer and they want to go get on a debate and they're evaluating who they want to go to? Like, they have two choices. Like, I want to go do a food shops panel or I want to go do a WIC panel, right? How do I evaluate which of those two do I go on? Do I watch all this WIC content and all this food shops content? I mean, ideally, maybe, but shouldn't it be up front that if I go on to WIC, I'm going to go against a stack deck? Like, shouldn't that be up front if I'm a new conservative streamer? Yes, it should. And that gets back to what we're talking about. Maybe it doesn't follow the strict rules of being a paid sponsorship where you have to acknowledge the promotion. But the spirit of the idea is that the viewer has the tools to make a quick evaluation of the validity of and the authenticity of this creator versus who is paying for them.
Okay.
But oh my god, it's not about the fact that it's new. Like it's the fact that this is where the WooBox meme is coming from. Like it doesn't need to be new.
Yeah, I don't
like.
I don't know. It seems. I'm going to be honest.
I've not called any of you bad people, by the way. I am just trying to point out.
No, make your money.
But then you imply that there's these negative. You don't.
So there's this implication that Beckett's making, but the implication that Brianna Wu is making that she has expectations of a result from a particular sponsored stream are not the same thing because he hasn't outright said it. You see the problem here, Wick? You see the problem is one time requires a exact wording. You have to know the secret name of Brianna Wu to make this nefarious. But Beckett just has to sort of vaguely gesture in that direction.
You don't use the word bad, but you imply these things in a very negative light, like they're trying to influence people, gather data, and they're gathering your data in order to influence.
Well, that's
you.
Beckett's.
Like this does, yeah. I'm sure
that's Beckett's. Mine is that it makes you seem ingenuous.
Very kind of nefarious. It plays into these like tropes of.
Well, I mean, to be fair,
let me respond.
You're the one saying you're having meetings once a week as a consultant, talking about how they can like influence.
Does. They have meetings on a regular basis to consult.
Actually, usually what a consultant does is tell companies things that any idiot can figure out and charges them outrageous amounts of money. Like, let's be perfectly honest, being a consultant carries with it a certain amount of, like, you're kind of a grift. It's kind of a grift. It is. It's like being a motivational speaker, except you don't have to do anything. Like, you don't even have to do a song and dance.
Sure, yeah. But at the same time, it's okay. So you're saying that I'm positing this negative thing of like, oh, they gathering data and like learning how to influence people. So someone say no one cares what a load of Twitch pol nerds have to say. Clearly, someone does because they're paying regular presumably large financial sums to multiple people to get that information. But it's enough. Like they're still paying for it.
One
like
to,
on a
1 to
regular
3K
basis
per meeting. Is that about accurate? I believe 1 to 3K per meeting. 1K on the low end.
Wish.
Oh, really? So it's not. What's the low end then, Wick? If you're okay with answering some questions now.
Jeez. All right. The rest of the Kuhlman conversation really is less. Let's move on to the Sunday portion. Before we start, and never let it be said that I am not, even-handed in my criticism. I think Sunday's been on point for a lot of this. A whole lot of this. And he does this, and Sunday, if you're watching, much love. I appreciate everything you've done for us here at Two Guys Talking History, but sometimes you overreach a little bit. The bringing up Wick's teeth thing kind of is an example of that. It dilutes the quality of a really powerful argument and gives them a place to pivot where they can go and have a ridiculous time. But let's get into this.
So what's going on? Why am I here?
I have no idea.
Basically, me and Beckett don't know enough about some of his transgressions, and you were recommended.
But whose?
We're on the progressive victory shit.
Progressive victory shit. Brianna Wu and stuff, yeah.
Okay.
Do you have criticisms?
About Wick's transgressions? I don't see what transgressions he's made. I mean, he's a shit moderator. He somehow managed to make upwards of $3,000 for a tooth he hasn't replaced, but still managed to buy Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah, again, I don't. Sunday, come on.
Other than that, like I don't see, like what's the. So hang on, just to be clear. So you guys are arguing about Wick's transgressions, but you don't know what his transgressions are.
No,
we figured out that he's
trying to.
Yeah.
So basically, there's two different points. Rezi, I'll let Rezi say his own. Mine is the fact that Wick brought up Woo Bucks, and my general point is that lots of people have an issue where it looks like independent content creators are receiving money from a political pact and then presenting their content as, what's the best way to put it? As natural, genuine, and centrist, or a place where anyone can talk. And people are going to say, well, you're paid by a political organization. How independent are you? And that's what I've been trying to get through. Well, Wick's been pushing back and saying it's the same as a chatter paying you.
It's not the same as a chatter paying you exactly. I think it more speaks to Wu's incompetence that he wasn't aware, for example, of Twitch's rules about that kind of thing. But there isn't fundamentally a problem there. I think the main issue would be, just on an ethical standpoint, if he's trying to posture as some kind of cross-aisle, neutral, moderated type thing where you hear different sides and whatnot, taking money from one side to pick and choose who gets represented and who gets represented fairly and who gets moderated fairly, that's kind of gross. I think it's pretty transparent. That's what's been going on for a little while. But
really,
cares?
Do you think I'm getting paid to moderate people at different levels, or have or not have specific people on?
Well, I know for a certain fact that you've been told not to have particular people on, or at the very least you've been. It's been strongly suggested
what?
Particular people on.
Because this is news to me. I've never been told by anyone not to have anyone on. Well, that's not true. A lot of people told me not to have certain people on, but I don't give a shit what they say, and I have.
I'm sure you don't. I'm sure you don't. Which is why as soon as the Brianna Wu leaks happened, you brought on one of her friends from the group chat to do the whole hit piece on me, but you would absolutely refuse to address me directly. It doesn't particularly matter. As far as there being any kind of
no, I did that
legal ethical transgressions taking place.
I didn't get paid for that. I did it because I wanted to.
Oh, so you're just a coward then? Okay, that's cool. So, as far as there being any legal ethical issues at play, the only thing that lays bare is Wu's incompetence. He wasn't aware of the Twitch rules. I mean, paying Wick is just an embarrassing thing to do by.
It's stupid. Why would you pay someone who doesn't understand strategy? It's stupid
itself, but I don't see any.
Again, you make an accusation. This is a problem I'm having tonight. Is there's a lot of accusations, but there's not a lot of bites.
I didn't accuse him of anything.
No, that's not the problem. It's not. People aren't making accusations. They're saying they don't trust you, and you're not really helping the fact when you say, "Well, I'm not answering your questions unless you do a headstand and spit wooden nickels while wearing a polka dotted bikini." Like, okay, you're not doing anything for your trustworthiness, are you?
Right? Joke, funny. But like you said that I was paid, or you implied that I've been paid to where it's been strongly suggested to me where I don't have.
I think looking at your channel, Wick, and looking at your numbers, there's no way in hell that you're actually surviving off those figures unless you're living with parents or someone's feeding you money. And my understanding is people are getting a small little stipend for appearing at like PV meetings and whatnot. And power to you. God knows why on earth they need you there. But I mean, I don't see an issue with this.
Okay.
I mean, the scandal here is that Wick's kind of useless. I don't really see why him having money.
Okay, neither of us have said that, by the way.
Yeah, that's just me.
Sure, that was...
Yeah, but it's true. Like, who's going like, you know what I need? You know what would make my day better? Having Wick in my corner. No one's ever said that. And if they have, they're probably going to say it now to be disingenuous, right?
Wow. 3 takes. Fuck it.
Wow. Yeah, and then my criticism is mostly that I think Wick is taking advantage of a level of legitimacy that being online and not being sponsored by these things are, that I think is harmful to normalize.
But I've never made a secret of the fact that I'm sponsored.
Yeah, I know. I mean, yeah, I've always criticized you having any sponsor with this. So
someone's asked me to ask you a couple questions, but if you don't mind, we'll
if
go
it's
a lot
Queeman,
faster.
I'm not answering them until he cams up.
It's not quite. I'm not talking to Queeman.
Okay.
So what? Just as very quickly, what does a contracted streamer entail?
What I'm paid to do, I show up a meeting every week, right? And we talk about the different things that are going on. What are some good ways to share this with our audience? Do we want to share this? Is everyone talking about? What's in the zeitgeist? That kind of thing.
Gotcha. Have you signed a physical contract?
Yes, I have signed a physical.
Okay. I think paying Wick to be a PR soldier on the front lines by risking his own channel name was well worth the consultation fees from PV. I mean, maybe. It's hard to say. Like, Wick's community is so full of, frankly, morons, to be perfectly honest, and right-wingers, that I'm not sure it really is. Like, you don't go to Wick's channel to change minds. Like, what is the objective of the panel? The objective of the panel is to hope that you get people on that look good for your side. And there's kind of a problem with this, like, on any level, because, and this even happens in professional political debates, like when all the candidates get up and debate for, what they do is they have people in the back spinning what they're saying, trying to make them look like they're better on the issues. That's what happens when these panels, like, no one's particularly impressed by anyone's performance usually. People who come to watch me debate will come and say, I did a good job. And I mean, I do a good job, but that doesn't necessarily mean that someone who doesn't like me is going to think the same thing. And it's almost guaranteed that it's not, because part of the problem is that right? That we talked about, that Brianna Wu appeals to, so she doesn't have to be accountable to anyone. That they lets you sort of wind in and out. You can sort of pick and choose what you respond to, what you think is important. The efficacy of something like Daily Wire is that they have total control over their message. And they exist inside a larger ecosystem that works, whether intentionally or not, in a semi-coordinated fashion to put information to people and to get them to listen to only these sources of information. The effect of progressive victory is zilch. They have accomplished nothing with this. Nothing substantive. Like, certainly not within the grand scope of Brianna Wu's. I want to create a counterbalance to right-wing media, right-wing YouTube space. I don't think it's a money well spent, and that's like not even putting into the point that they're paying people like Counterpoints. Like, what the hell? Counterpoints is like unironically one of those people who's probably a pain to deal with in a wargaming setting, right? Because he doesn't get that, like, he talks about 40K like he doesn't get the central conceit. And I tangent, but so the thing about 40K is the Imperium is horrible, and people that Counterpoints loaded up as being awesome, but like the Imperium is horrible, but it's justified in that the situation they are in is so insane that being horrible is suddenly justified. So if aliens and demons and traitors are all around you and can insidiously kill you, then maybe you're justified being a fascist piece of shit. But obviously that's not the case. So this thing is clearly silly, and like you don't get the central caveat of that. Why is he doing strategy meetings? And that's the other thing. This is a group called Progressive Victory. What is Connor providing that I can't provide by turning on Fox News? Particularly given the control and the nature of the right-wing media ecosystem. Like, it's a huge point, right? It's not insignificant. Why is a conservative commentator who has, iffy views at best, although they had Chud Logic on and he has iffy views on things at best, why are we paying conservatives? Wouldn't that be a question I, as a donor, would want to ask? Wouldn't it be good if this was transparent so that I could ask those questions? Like, what are they providing? What is the output of these meetings? Are minutes being kept of these meetings? Can I, if I have a question about the application of my donation, can I refer to these minutes? Can they be turned over to me? Is there documentation? Are there officers appointed? Like, is there controls in place? Like, or am I just pissing money away on Brianna Wu's friends? What's the question? Like, do I get to ask that question? And so far, the answer is no, I don't get to ask that question. That's a problem. Like, if there's nothing to hide, if this is all a fine thing, then why is it being conducted in a way that no one can see it?
Sweet. NDA?
Yes.
Okay. Do the talking points align with the policy promises politicians that Progressive Victory are funding and canvassing for or utilizing? Let me rephrase that. Do the talking points align with the policy promises politicians that PV are funding and canvassing for are utilizing? That's very awkwardly phrased, but you get the general idea.
I'm not paid to push an agenda.
Hold on.
Yes, you are! Like, what is the point if you're not paid to push an agenda?
Yeah.
Just very quickly, I just want to go back to those earlier questions. You say that you go to meetings, meet up, and discuss a topic and how best to like push it. That was your wording, right?
Oh,
or how to talk about something.
Yes, that's been the wording multiple times, by the way.
So, for example, right? And I can't say the specifics, right? But the initiative will come up, right? And we'll talk about, a lot of people are talking about this. How are they talking about this? How, what are some ways that you can share it with your audience, etc. Yeah. But we're not told to share it with our audience.
Do you think that has an impact?
But there's an implication there that you should share it with your audience. Like, what is the point of having work product that nobody uses? Like, we're creating this work product, guys, that's not written down. And the off chance that you might want to use it, but you don't have to use it because that would be a legal minefield. Like, no. Like, you're not fooling anyone.
influence on how you
has an influence? Like what? Like
I mean, he wouldn't be able to
any,
disclose if it had an
any
influence.
like special sense. Like we're not paid to do that.
Yeah, but like, I'm getting money for this thing and it's not influencing me is a very hard sell for anyone, right? Like if you suddenly discovered that I was getting paid by the righteous daughters of American jihad, you might think that it's influencing me. Like it'd be hard for me to argue that I'm getting this check and not being influenced, right? Just a thought.
You don't pay to do that.
Beckett, just to hold on one second.
Sure.
I got 3 more, just very quickly.
Sure, sorry.
Are you able to say who else is attending these meetings?
No.
No. How are they deciding the payment structure?
I have no idea.
You have no idea. Okay.
Yeah, I was just given a contract and they said this amount. I was like, okay.
Cool. Is the amount you're paid determined at all by your engagement or viewership?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, cool. How much are you making? Just out of curiosity.
I'm not going to share that with you. I think I can if I want.
Not enough for teeth, so we know that much.
God damn it, son.
All right.
God
yeah, I think
this is just on that point very quickly. Like, for me personally, if I was missing one of my front and side and I received $3,000 to do that, and I was getting paid to do like fucking YouTube and PV or whatever, you know, I'd have my teeth by now. If I had to work at Walmart, I'd have my teeth by now. What's going on? Just out of curiosity.
I'm not going to talk about it.
Yeah, but Sunday has his camera on, so you have to talk about it. Them's the rules of cricket, son, that you made up.
How long till the next one goes?
Good question.
All right.
Can we stop talking?
Does anybody else want anything from me here? Or?
No, that's about it, I guess. I think we're winding, regardless. I don't.
Okay.
Yeah. No, fuck it. Thanks for that.
Yeah. Good to see you.
Well, cheerio.
Get some sleep.
Right. Yeah. I think. Okay. So again, I know you're under NDA and everything else.
NDA. God, I hate it.
It's definitely winding.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the fact that again, the way maybe it's the way you're phrasing it, but like talking about the topics of the day, how yeah, like
I try to be as vague as possible.
Yeah, and
yeah. All right. I'm gonna just watch The Rage Quit because it's probably funny. I haven't watched it previously, unlike the other things. And we're gonna wind down pretty quick ourselves.
I don't know how much is progressive pack. I don't know how much. Like it's like the erosion of me being able to know what is you and what isn't. When it's some nameless schmuck in my audience, who gives
like I don't know how much is you and how much is these fucking spicy chatters, Queeman. I have no idea. I have no idea how much what you're saying is influenced by your audience right now. I don't know how much is you, and I don't.
I'm just gonna be honest, man. I didn't really think that you would go ahead and say there's an amount of fucking money that you would read Mein Kampf for after you've gone ahead and said the shit you've said to some of the fucking people you have over the last goddamn few months. You're a fucking piece of shit.
Right?
No, get the
fucking piece of shit.
Yo, you're a fucking asshole. Fucking shut the fuck up. Go ahead, get the fuck out. No, get the fuck out. I don't fucking give a shit.
Bye, bitch.
What a fucking cunt.
How did you end up more angry than I did?
That was phenomenal. I think I like this guy. Reservoir, I like this guy. 2 thumbs up. Here. I'll even. It'll look horrible because I have all the lights on in the room, but I will even, boop. Wrong one. I have to actually remember what the thing is. Wrong webcam. Correct webcam. 2 thumbs up! Resi is a close friend of Smith. Well, no one's perfect.
It's gonna be really soy if I say it.
Yeah,
Because it's gonna be really lame if I say it. I thought we had some fucking standards, man. That's it. I don't know. I'm sorry.
That was your first mistake, brother.
Sorry, this fucks me up, dude. Like,
look, I'm gonna
like, what the fuck is this shit?
I'm
sorry. Like, no, my brain is wrecked. How the fuck can you do this fucking then just say, yeah, man, you can fucking pay me for that shit? Like,
I want to be like, I'll be honest with my disclosure. Like I said this with the Gamergate thing. I'm a gym fan. I do have different standards. I don't like the massive money making online. I
don't give a shit about somebody making money, but like, it's having a standard, and that is a bare minimum. Fuck, I said it as a fucking joke, and that's what the bait he fucking bit. What the fuck is that shit? I said it as a joke because Evan DM'd me it, and I was like, oh, he'll just say, oh yeah, I wouldn't do that. It's like, no, I'm a fucking spineless rat fuck.
He DM'd
what a
me
fucking
like,
spineless
bring me
fuck,
on.
dude.
I can't believe you read that. Look, I don't know. Fuck. The thing is, you know, look. I think I'm pretty open with my biases. I obviously don't trust Woo. I obviously don't trust any political packs. I don't trust think tanks. I don't like people like, oh, you're moralizing. I don't think this is a moral argument. I'm not saying it's bad or evil. I'm just saying it's fucking weird. Like there's something about this that seems odd, and it's again like the.
I'm not mad. I'm not upset. I'm not any of that. I am so fucking disappointed.
Here's the thing, kind of to put words to what because I think Beckett's hitting on an important thing. Kind of to put words on it. This isn't the method, the road you would expect an organization that wants to influence elections to go down. Like, so it says something about what Progressive Victory is up to, ultimately. Like, it says one of two things: that they are utterly corrupted by what Brianna Wu has brought into the situation, or they are too unprofessional to be considered a viable, useful, or long-term organization. Because it's not like it's been required. Like, not that we'd be able to bring on a whole bunch of people because all of you are spread out all over the place and where everyone is poor. But like, it's not beyond the pale for me to set up, for example, my own like canvassing thing. I don't need Progressive Victory for that. It would be more efficacious if I had an organization that's funding me and bringing me, or like bringing things in for me. Yeah, absolutely. But it's not required. So it's not the expected behavior of an organization like this. Like, Progressive Victory pays Wick to be a strategist who gives content suggestions, but isn't required to adhere to those content suggestions. So you've got an idiot strategist and a Republican, and those are two that we know for sure. That I'm beginning to doubt your commitment to progressivism and to victory in general, as a rule. They could go a long way as an organization if they say, do one of two things. A, we fucked up. We have to do this. We're going to be more transparent in the future. We're going to start holding leadership accountable and talk about what these things are. Here are all the people who are working with us, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That would go a long way towards fixing the problem. They got to dump Wick. It's just inevitable. Eventually Wick's going to turn that mustache into a little teeny little Hitler mustache. It's inevitable. Like, he's not, his commitment to any kind of set of ideals is his commitment to good strategy, to good practice, and his willingness to avoid that. Like, what he is an opportunist at the end of the day. He will desperately protect people who will give him things, and he will shit on anyone who's not willing to. They got to get rid of Wick. He is going to be he's not going to end well. I don't want to get into too many details, but I was sitting in a voice chat on a server, talking with some creators and other things, and someone very explicitly decided to tell us in this server, I can't give you details, but don't trust Wick. So like I didn't do this before, and I should have, and I intended to when I was going to talk about the whole Brianna Wu leaks, and how Wick reacted and why it was bullshit. But that was pretty obvious why it was bullshit, so I didn't do that. But like to you guys, because I did vouch for Wick. I fucked up. I shouldn't have done that. I was wrong. I made a bad judgment. I can't promise that I'm not going to make more bad judgments as we're going through this, but the only thing I can promise you and tell you is that when I do, I need to be honest about it and say it. Because ultimately, the reason I think people are here is because we bring value to discussions, and we bring good judgment and our experience as trained historians to be able to analyze things. I made a mistake. I'm sorry. I should have said this sooner. To sort of explain things, I haven't volunteered for any more Wick panels. I see the things. I'm not really interacting positively with Wick. I'm being critical of him. I went on as a caller for the military women in combat panel because it's an issue that's very near and dear to people who are very important to me, and I couldn't stand to see that done that way. That was that. I'm not going to volunteer for those things. I'm not going to fuel something that's bad. So that being said, I think we're going to close this out for the evening. Tomorrow evening, hopefully, as long as things have been going okay, and I got to check in with Hetman, we will talk about the Constitutional Convention, how we arrived at our system of governance for the federal government, what was the conceits and caveats, and how this affects Americans today, how we look at things, how we look at the Constitution, all of those things. We're going to sit there and talk about it. It should be good. It should be some solid content. I hope everyone shows up for that. On Wednesday, we have arranged for another Ukraine update because a lot of things have been going on in Ukraine. There might be a general fired. There could be a whole bunch of stuff. Very big time. Commander McMillan will be there. We're having another special guest, highly qualified to talk on this topic, because again, that's why we want to focus on here. We want to bring good information to you guys and to leverage our knowledge to be able to get good guests. So I hope everyone shows up for that. I'm glad. I'm very happy you're all here tonight. Thank you very much. I hope everyone has an excellent evening and have a good night.